With the news of the Xbox Project Scarlett making the rounds, what does it mean for the older generations of Xbox like the One S? Would they continue to support the hardware? Yeah, I think they would continue to support it, and how much and how long kind of depends on what goes on with the new system. For instance, will the new system be backwards compatible? Because if it is, then yeah, keep making Xbox One games for at least another year or two, because all the people that still own Xbox Ones are going to benefit from that, but you're also giving this library of new games that are still appealing to the people buying the new system. They're not necessarily going to be pushing it power-wise, but as long as they're still great games, why not? And based on how much the current generation is focused on adding backwards compatibility, I don't see why they wouldn't do that for the next system. I think what's more interesting to talk about, though, is the fact that along with rumors of a new Xbox coming out sometime in like 2020, there's also the focus on the idea of Xbox focusing on cloud gaming, on streamable games. And if that's the case, I mean, not only could we have a new system that's powerful, or maybe even some kind of cheap system that's just streamable games, you could open it up to the Xbox One as well, giving this new functionality where owners of an Xbox One S or One X can play these newer games through streaming. It may not be the absolute best experience versus actually buying a new console, but it would still give another use for these current generation systems, and just give a whole new strength to the entire line. What are your thoughts on the upcoming Super Mario movie by Illumination Studios? I don't know. Look, to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of the Minions movies. It's just never been a big thing for me, and so something like Mario being in their hands, I'm just not sure. And there's also the fact that Mario is a really weird thing to adapt into movies. I mean, they've tried before, and that was awful.
Name? Mario. Last name? Mario.
When you think of the concept of, oh, we want to make a movie based on Mario, what do you actually mean by that? Like, what does that look like? What is the plot line? Because Mario isn't exactly a narrative-heavy game. I mean, adapting any game to a movie is always a weird process, but something that basically boils down to a guy runs sideways for a while jumping on mushrooms is a really awkward thing to try and turn into an actual full-length movie. It could make for a really awesome short film, I could see that happening, but like a feature-length, hour-and-a-half, 2-hour-long movie, I don't know if I have hopes for it. I don't think it's impossible, I hope it turns out to be something great, but I'm not holding my breath. Pineapple on pizza?
No.
No.
I refuse. No!
If Nintendo ever added another character to Smash Ultimate or made some DLC, what character would you want to see? Yes, I did answer this question last month, but let's be honest, this is a question that I have so many answers to, we could probably do one every month until the game comes out. So, other characters we haven't talked about yet. One that was really heavily rumored that I think would be super cool is Simon Belmont from the original Castlevania. That was on the old school NES, that was one of the games that helped popularize the NES in the US, and we already have Snake showing up in Smash Ultimate, so that means that deals are being struck with Konami. So if they're willing to hand even more characters over, I think that would make an awesome addition, and so many of the abilities and playstyles would easily translate over to a 2D fighter. So that 1,000 times. Another one that I know is probably not going to happen at all because there's already a costume form for the Mii characters, but I can still hope. Gino from Super Mario RPG. It's never going to happen, and I'm just going to have to live with the fact that we just have him as a Mii costume, but it'd be so cool. What game system do you regret buying? Ouya.
What's up, Internet? Kevin here with TLD, bringing you our review of the Ouya.
What games do you think will be announced this year or early next year for the Switch? I'm hoping Animal Crossing. Really, this is actually the #1 question I got for this Q&A was, when is Animal Crossing coming? When is Animal Crossing coming? When are they announcing it? I don't know, but I think it is something that is going to happen. I mean, as far as the Switch goes, we've been getting a lot of confirmed announcements for pretty much all the biggest franchises that Nintendo is still supporting. The only ones that are still kind of unheard from are Star Fox and Animal Crossing. So I think Animal Crossing is something we're going to hear about. There has been lots of rumors that Nintendo did not announce their full array of titles for 2018. There's still going to be stuff announced for 2019, of course. I think Animal Crossing is very likely to be one of those. And once again, there were those rumors about that Star Fox racing game. I don't think that's out of the question yet. We just don't still have a hard announcement. So those are probably going to be the two biggest things I think we're still waiting to hear on. Past that, it could be anything at this point. I'm actually really hoping that now that we have all these games for their big franchises, we maybe get a couple more brand new IPs announced, because Splatoon was a great addition, so was ARMS, now we just need even more. One of the big selling points about the Switch was its portability. Do you think PlayStation and or Xbox are going to take portability seriously in the coming years? It's weird because to say that the big benefit of the Switch is its portability is kind of a really simple reduction because, you know, the 3DS is a great portable system and it didn't blow up the same way the Switch did. The reason why the Switch is awesome is because it's that mixture of a home console entertainment system, but also portable on the go. It's more that it's this midpoint that adapts to both styles rather than just the fact that it is a portable system. And whether or not that means Sony and Xbox is going to try and jump on the bandwagon with that, I honestly don't know, because Sony has tried messing with handhelds in the past. Hasn't worked out the best for them. The PS Vita, while a great little handheld, just did not sell well at all. I think a large part of that problem comes from the fact that a lot of their big first-party titles just don't always translate the best to a portable style system. As for Xbox, I don't think they're ever going to adapt doing some kind of handheld system, at least a dedicated one. If anything, I think if they do go into sort of mobile game market, it's going to be more focused on that kind of idea we talked about earlier, where they're going to focus on streamable games, and they're going to make it so that, you know, phones or some other kind of handheld device can support playing games that are streamed, not necessarily an actual dedicated handheld system with its own games. What is your favorite indie game on the Switch? Okay, so I've answered this question a couple times in the past, and normally when I do, I just rant and rave about Shovel Knight for about like 20 minutes, and then we have to cut it down to like a minute of footage for you guys to actually see. But I'm gonna be different this time. While it's still a great game, two other ones that I want to shout out that are kind of similar. Bloodstained Curse of the Moon, which is a side game to the upcoming not Castlevania game Bloodstained, which is meant to be just an old school style Castlevania from like the NES era. It is super fun. It captures the style of that kind of game perfectly, but at the same time rebalances it and does some new interesting things that just comes across really well. It's a really short game and super cheap. Honestly, there's no reason you shouldn't just download this right now. Another one, Hollow Knight. Awesome game, kind of like it. A lot of people make this argument of saying a game is the Dark Souls of something, but that's actually kind of true for Hollow Knight because it is a 2D Metroidvania style game, but with a lot of Dark Souls style tone. Not necessarily the difficulty or gameplay, but the setting and the way the story is kind of portrayed has that kind of style to it, and it is done so well.